Hello there, tarot lovers. Welcome to this new moon reading, which I am doing for October 2023. So we've got a 4 card reading and I'm going to dive straight into it. We're going to start off with 2 cards and then we're going to start off with another 2 cards and look at the whole reading that's taking place. Okay, so we'll have a repeat message that's coming up, which was in, I think it was the last full moon 2 weeks ago. It was definitely in a new moon reading maybe 2 months ago, and then again in July, I think, or June maybe. This crazy 5 of Cups reversed. I think it came up the right way up the last time. And here we have the 2 of Pentacles as well. So there's obviously something that's saying, Marcus, look into this 5 of Cups, look into this nature that we have to. On one level, I see this card as sometimes it's turning around this tendency to be focused on the spilt, focused on the loss, focused on the sadness, focused on the negative feelings, focused on the darker stories, focused on closing ourselves off. And I see the reverse sometimes as a flipping of that, and it's like we know what it feels like to change, to shift out of any negativity, to turn our attention to the 2 positive cups that are still standing behind the cloaked figure, to walk over that bridge that's in the distance to the lovely building of our home. We know what it feels like to find again our sense of positivity. And we know how to do that, and we do that in very many ways. I sometimes see this card as our ability to flip this card over, but also with the tendency to bypass those cups that are spilt. In other words, hey, let's do something that feels good in our lives so that we can ignore what doesn't feel good. And we do this a lot. And I see that this card represents a little bit of those 2 energies. In one way, it's a good thing because we are discovering, we know how to, it's a reminder that we do know how to look after ourselves. We do know how to find positive vibrations in times that are a little bit challenging and difficult, and when the traumas are coming up, and when our past fears and doubts, and when our sadness sits in and sets in and makes us want to cover ourselves up. There is this knowledge of how to come out of it, but sometimes we'll use that knowledge as a crutch to avoid facing up to the fact that we might still be holding on to a lot of the tendencies to feel less good about ourselves, to feel and focus on what is wrong and what is missing and what is lacking in our lives and lacking in ourselves, what we're not good at. We might find ourselves judging ourselves in this story. And then we get this 2 of Pentacles, which is this juggling of the dynamics of oh my goodness, but then this nature of oh, I know how to get out of these negative ways of thinking. I know how to relieve myself from this sadness, and so why wouldn't I do it? Let's go and do that, shall we? And then there's this call, the sadness comes back and it calls us back and it says, yeah, but there's something here that's worth looking at, that's worth feeling into, that's worth experiencing. You don't have to run away. It's not something that needs to be scary. It's something that you need to feel inside of you, because when you feel that sadness inside of you, and when you actually recognize the tendencies that you have that lead you to feeling negative and closing yourself off, you can have more self-awareness about the patterns and the habits that you've generated to do so, and to shut yourself down, and you can catch yourself doing it. You can catch yourself and relieve yourself from this journey without actually necessarily bypassing, but recognize the richness of the sorrow, the richness of the sadness. And I did a little reading not too long ago about the richness of sadness, and how the sadness and the loss that we feel really shows us how much we care for life, and how we care for the things and the people in life. And when we feel sadness, when we look at something and it makes us sad, it's because we care so much. And the caring is not a bad thing at all. Now, the focusing on sadness and the wallowing in the self-pity and the closing ourselves off because we feel so bad and so sad, that can definitely cause us problems. But the caring that makes us feel this pain and feel the empathy of pain of the world and other people is not a bad thing at all. It's a great thing. And so we need to celebrate the care without wallowing in the sadness. And so when there's a choice of what to do in our lives, we find ourselves choosing a lot of the time things that making choices that will direct us towards what makes us happy naturally, without feeling into the sadness and recognizing that there's something beautiful in the sadness. There's something beautiful in the fact that we can feel empathy with the loss of this world. We can feel empathy with the darkness in this world. And then these other two cards come up, and I'll talk about this reading in like a cycle story. The reverse King of Swords came up, which came up just recently for me as well. So there's obviously stuff going on. So whenever you get repeat cards in the tarot, look deeper, go in. Don't go, oh, I'll draw another card to get some clarity, which is definitely what I've done in the past. No, when you get a card that's coming up over and over and over again, look at it, look at yourself, dive into it and go, what does that mean? What does that mean? No, it's not that. I already know that. What else don't I know about this? What else don't I know about myself? What is this inside of me? Really question those stories, really question them deeply until you find an answer. When you persevere in this way, you'll start seeing more things will come up without having to get clarity from something else, or without having to watch 50 million YouTube videos about it, but just go inside of yourselves and really find out what the story is. And this king comes up to me again, and he's the king which when he's the right way up should be giving us good boundaries to the way we think. It should be helping us think the right things. And that help is sometimes taking the sword out and cutting away the thoughts that don't help us. And it's saying, hey, cut away the thoughts that keep you in the sadness. Cut away those beliefs that hold you in this perpetual cycle of self-grief. And when he's upside down, he doesn't do that job very well. And when he's upside down, he doesn't maybe always recognize, or at least stand up for and put the boundaries where we need to put them. The boundaries of our own mind, this is. And the boundaries of our own mind that are telling us, hey, I believe in something that's not true. I believe in something that brings me down, that makes me less than, that makes me hide, that makes me afraid, that makes me cloak myself off in my darkness. And sometimes that cloaking off in the darkness is okay. A little bit of that is all right, but recognizing that hiding from the world is going to be a hiding from ourselves. And this king this king is that part of us that is willing to voice our beliefs out in the world. So he stands with conviction of his knowledge of what is true and what is not true for him, and is willing to share that truth with the world. And when he's upside down, maybe there's a doubt that we have, a doubt in ourselves, a doubt in our own beliefs, and maybe it's the realistic doubt in our own beliefs, because our beliefs seem to be making us afraid. And this is where the king comes in and says, no, those aren't the right beliefs that we need to hold on to. And those aren't the ones that are true to our hearts. So those aren't the ones that are making us or helping us make the right decisions. Those aren't the ones where the duality crosses and centers in our heart. But no, those are the ones that make us think that there are always two options in this world. Those are the beliefs that make us think that, oh, should I do this or should I do that? What's the right choice? I'm not 100% sure. I've got all these options. I've got this option and that option. No, the king in his right mind stands up and said, you don't have two choices. There is only one choice. There's only ever been one choice. Sit with it, feel it, and you'll know it. Because if you believe the mind and say, no, but there are two choices. There are obviously two clear, very choices, and when we tell ourselves that there are these two choices, and life might be presenting two choices for us, so it's like, oh, well, come on, look look at the two choices. I have them here in my hands. What are you talking about? No, there's actually only one choice. There isn't a choice to make. There is only one centered feeling that's going to guide you in the path that's going to be good for you. The idea that there are two things to choose from is always part of what confuses us and makes us dance around and go, oh, I'm lost, I don't really know what I'm doing. And hey, who better to teach us about how attached to some form of darkness and some form of confusion than this guy. And he comes up as the final card and the major arcana card in this reading to not lightly, but in a dark way, remind us and shine a light upon our addictions and our attachments to lowering our energy and staying small. And he shows us how trapped and tied up to old patterns and old programs we are. It's not a message that is a very pleasant one, because we do find it difficult to own and take responsibility for the habits that seem to have been created for us in life. And it's very difficult to step outside of the tendency to blame the world for who we are and claim responsibility and thus claim a similar amount of power for our own lives, to feel responsible and to step into the truth of where we are in our own lives. And so we have a cycle, we have a little circle which I'll run ourselves around in. There is this tendency to hide, there's this tendency to maybe bypass some of our pain with pleasurable experiences. There's this tendency that we might have to choose to do something positive, which is a beautiful thing to do and a great practice. I'm not saying that this is wrong, but in the name of bypassing what we really could look at in order to recognize that we don't have to be so afraid of what is spilt. We don't have to be so ashamed of what is lost. We don't have to feel the shame and the fear and the lower vibrations about what we are not and what we don't have enough of, what we have lost and what is not with us anymore. And how that might close us off and make us think and believe that we're not good enough. We do not have to focus on that, because if we do, then the consequential beliefs that surround that or are linked with the fear of facing up to our own pain and owning it will make us confused about holding on to those same beliefs. And this king needs to step in. We need to turn ourselves the right way up, and we need to say, hey world, hey Marcus, I'm not believing in the right things. It's okay to feel grief, it's okay to feel pain, and it's okay to feel a little bit of sorrow, but I don't need to stay in there. I see the beauty of it, I see the message of it as it tells me about the false beliefs that I am holding, and I see those false beliefs that are telling myself that I'm not good enough, that are telling myself that I'm lacking in some way, and I choose to cut those beliefs out at their root, and I choose to promote positive beliefs and put a boundary to those false ones. I'm going to put positive belief into my life, not bypassing those negative beliefs, but understanding, oh, these are thoughts that have been given to me. These are thoughts that I have bought into for many a time, and give me this confused idea that there are definitely two options in my life when really there's only one option, and I'm giving myself these two options all the time. And this is a great reminder for me to say, no, there's only one choice. Why are you making up the other path? Why are you making up the idea that there is something else that you should be doing, that you can be doing, that you ought to be doing, that is pleasurable to do? Come on, this is a lot more pleasurable to do. This is easier because it doesn't go against what is comfortable. It doesn't go against your routines, your habits, and your addictions. And look at those routines, habits, and addiction. Let's get naked and look at the addiction to routine that we have. Even if they're not that pleasurable, we need to break out of those routines. We need to break out of old habits that are tying us into being lower versions of ourselves, and consequently sadder versions of ourselves. And we need to take away that idea of duality and center ourselves in our hearts. We need to be honest, like the devil is saying, shining a light on our nakedness. He's not shining a light on our clothedness. He's saying, I see you. I see you. Can you see how naked you are? Can you see how your choices are based upon conditioning of telling yourself that this is more comfortable, because it will definitely be uncomfortable to break a habit. It will definitely be less, it will be a little bit more traumatic to choose to do something differently, to make an effort where you can effortlessly fall into habitual actions. But instead, you'll have to make an effort to step out of those habitual actions and step into something that's more heart-centered. And the King can help you. Let's get up. Let's get off our head, King. Let's choose different beliefs. Let's choose a different way of thinking and tell ourselves exactly what we need to hear, and then tell the world exactly who we are accordingly, so that the world can conform to the choice of our hearts. Have a fantastic new moon, and much love to you all.